Hey friends, I want to talk about feeds, which are social technology you can implement with software like Discord or Slack. I learned about them from a community that I'm in with meditation stuff that he runs, Mark. And then I've adopted them in some Discords that I run. And I really like them, and they solve a number of problems, but one of them is how to have intimate community with dear friends on a global planet. And another one is how to be vulnerable in a heartfelt way and be well received. A lot of folks that I'm friends with use Twitter. I use Twitter extensively. I love Twitter. Twitter is great for a lot of things. But often, if you are real and vulnerable on the timeline about something that matters to you, that you're feeling, it can be received poorly, and people you've never met will come by and offer their opinions or advice or judgments about what you're saying, and depending on what you're sharing and how people respond, that may not feel very good. That may not be very kind. That may not be what you need. It's sort of distracting. And so feeds are a really good solution for this. Basically, in software like Slack or Discord, a feed is a channel that's just for you, and it says like feed Taschen, for example, and it could be something different. It could be about something specific, like feed Taschen writing fiction or something like that, feed Taschen visual art, feed Taschen music, whatever. You get to decide, but it's a channel that you own that is about things you care about, and you're the one that posts there. You curate what you post, what you're interested in, and it's in a Discord or Slack of a small neighborhood of people that you have some connection to. And if you don't have this, you can make your own server and invite your own friends and make feeds for all of them, and then see what people journal about, and then you read other people's sort of journals and their feeds, and you can emoji react to them or comment or reply or ask questions. And if you have that context, if you have a shared context of a community that, you know, you're all in, where you understand each other, you know each other, you have some kind of shared context, then that is a really good basis for intimacy, even though it's asynchronous, it's digital, and people may be all over the world. And over time, you can kind of get a sense of where someone's coming from and what they're going through and what they're feeling and what they're working on, and really get to an important part or understanding of their character arc and what they're going through. And that's a kind of intimacy that just posting on the timeline might not do. People do it, but then often when their account starts to get bigger, they'll get responses that just don't feel good, that are sort of distracting, and then you have to process, and it's just like, oh, that's not helpful. And similarly, people will also try to do this on what's called the dark timeline, which is a timeline of locked accounts that follow each other, so they're not visible to the public. But the constraints of Twitter are just not ideal for this, where it's like 280 characters, or now there's long posts, but if it's a locked account, then it's harder to do search, and so you can't necessarily reference past things you said. And having a channel in a chat server is actually kind of a better interface for something like a journal, where over time you can reference things from the past and reply to them or build on them. And anyway, I've used these feeds since 2020, maybe earlier, and I've started running servers since 2021 that use feeds, and I run I think I run 3 servers that have feeds, one for each department of the Service Guild, and they have different context, and I journal about different things in different feeds. I probably have, last time I counted, over 50 different feeds that I have in different servers. And that's a lot to keep track of, but you can just start with one, it's fine. I like it that way. I like kind of this complex nest and web of intricate journals where some people have access to some and other people don't. And I journal about different topics and themes in different places. That's another nice thing, is that you can kind of decide who has access to these feeds. So even within a community, you can be like, oh, I just want these 2 friends to be able to read this feed because it just feels too vulnerable to share this kind of stuff. Or you can kind of decide more levels of gradation of privacy, and that really matters. For a while, Twitter had circles, which kind of accomplished this, but then they axed that feature and it's no longer. So this is a way you can really get that level of both intimacy and privacy that feels good for you, that is with the people you really want to connect with. It's also been a really important part of my writing process, where I'm always writing, I'm always journaling. That's in some ways my main spiritual practice at this point. Something I'm doing throughout the day is I just journal about different things that are on my mind, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what I'm learning, how I'm growing, different situations I'm in. I use different feeds for different purposes. And so I just have this whole body of sort of private writing about things that I think about, and then I can extract from that for public writing and post excerpts to the public and share things that I think other people would resonate with without necessarily compromising my own privacy or talking about the specific life situation that I was going through that led me to those reflections. And that strikes a really good balance of relating to the public, sharing what I'm learning, and also respecting my own privacy, my own boundaries, my own needs around what I'm going through. Also other people's privacy, because often these things involve other people and I want to respect their privacy. And it's also just great writing practice to write constantly about things that you care about, the things that you're thinking about, to reflect on them. That's a big part of why I'm a good writer. I mean, I've been writing for most of my life, but I had a friend recently who was just astonished by how quickly I could write and how effectively I can write. And I think a big, one component of this, there's many components that I could point to, but one is that I'm just always writing, I'm always journaling, and I've done this extensively in feeds, and then I have this body of work to draw upon, and also just the skill to quickly articulate the things that I'm thinking about, because I've built that up over years. So I love journaling, and I love this form of social journaling where I can really just share what's on my heart and then also receive support, reacts, emotion, like questions, feedback from my friends, and I feel like I'm witnessed in what I'm going through, but not overly exposing myself to the public, to people who might not have charitable, generous replies. I'm also not triggering people with what I'm going through. I'm just having my experience, being witnessed by friends, and being received in that. So I'm a big fan of these feeds. If they're interesting to you, I have an article that I'll link to in the comments and the links, the show notes or whatever. I forget what you call those on YouTube, but I'll put them in there and you can read an article, and it sort of explains how to set them up and shows what they look like. And yeah, I'd love for this social technology to spread more widely. It's been so powerful for me and for the communities I'm connected to that have used it, and I hope it will serve you and your friends and your communities, and enjoy.